Yes, I do. Mitchell Johnson will be 12th man tomorrow. So exciting for the boys, a new series for us. We're playing against a good Sri Lankan team who know the conditions pretty well, know Australia quite well. A lot of the guys, a lot of the Sri Lankan players have a lot of experience. So our preparation's been outstanding over the last few days. Obviously a tough selection, trying to cut 12 down to 11, especially with the way Mitchell Johnson performed in Perth. But for this test match, this is the 11 we've selected.
Does that mean there was talk about Ben doing some remedial work with his action and things? Did that happen?
There was no talk about that in regards to selection for this test match, no. Not since being in Hobart, that's for sure.
How much did Shane Watson moving it forward allow you to stick with line as a spinner and not fall on?
Had no impact whatsoever.
It's pretty, if you look at it in isolation, you probably say that Mitch was the best bowler in Perth, so you'd probably feel a bit unlucky on that.
Yeah, Mitch should feel unlucky, there's no doubt about it. I think, like I said in Perth, Sids and Hilf were unfit. Both weren't 100% fit for that test match, so they missed that game. And then, Mitchell Stark's, I guess, been in the queue for a while now, and I thought he come in and did a really good job in Perth as well. So, but in saying that, Mitchell Johnson bowled very well in Perth, and he is unlucky to miss out. But it's we've gone for this attack for this test match in these conditions against the opposition we're playing.
So what was it specifically that swung Starkey ahead of? I'm assuming it was the choice Starkey ahead of Johnson.
Yeah, it probably wasn't as simple a choice as that. Like I say, I think Sids and Hilf come back into the team being two guys that have performed very well over the past 12 months for us, both being 100% fit. And then, like I say, Starkey's been in the queue for a long time, or the last 8 to 12 months, and we thought he bowled really well in the test match in Perth, as well did Mitchell Johnson. So, yeah, it certainly wasn't a simple decision. All four guys have performed really well. Mitch Johnson's been bowling beautifully for Western Australia as well, but this is the 11 we're going for this test match.
Michael, Mitch has sometimes struggled with self-confidence in the past. Did you at all factor in that you brought him back, he's actually bowled pretty well, and then if they actually pulling him out of the team might actually have anything from him?
Look, at the end of the day, you've got to do what's best for the Australian team. You've got to pick the best 11 players to help you win a test match. And for this test, it's the 11 we're going for. Like I said, it certainly... it was a tough selection to leave Mitchell Johnson out, as it would have been whoever we left out. But I've been saying for a while, it's a nice problem to have when you got 12 blokes that really want to play and have performed well. But unfortunately, someone has to miss out. So yeah, look, Mitch will be fine. He'll continue to work his backside off, and I guess wait for another opportunity and try and grab it with both hands once again.
Is there a sense with Mitchell Stark that you're sort of giving him a run at the Ashes? You've got to get a bit of cricket into him.
For me, I'm not looking at the Ashes at all. For me, like I say, the reason Mitchell Stark's there is because he's been in the queue for a while. He's been next in line in the queue for a while. He's performed really well in the shorter form of the game for Australia. He got one test in Perth and got 6 for and 70 odd with the bat as well, so that's not a bad start either. So I think whoever we left out in this test match, it was always a topic of conversation. We're always going to ask the question, why'd you leave him out? And it was always going to be a tough selection. So, there's no doubt, though, that John Inverarity, Mickey Arthur and Pat Howard need to continue to look to India and then to the Ashes. But for me as a player, as I've said before, and for the rest of the team, we're focused on this test match and the opposition we're playing against tomorrow.
Well, with the composition of the batting order, did you think about moving up to 3 or 4? Did you think maintaining the status quo was...
I certainly thought about it. I thought long and hard about it. But at this stage, I guess Mickey Arthur and myself feel that how the order is for this test match, with Hughesy at 3, Watto at 4, myself stay at 5 and Michael Hussey at 6 is our best lineup to have success in this test match and hopefully for the series. But yeah, there's no doubt I thought long and hard about it. I've said, I guess as a young player, I batted number 4 for New South Wales my whole career, and I always as a kid wanted to bat number 4 for Australia. I guess the older you get, the wiser you get, you work out and realise that the number's irrelevant where you bat. It's about having success and helping the team win. And that's probably where I sit now with my game. if I bat 3 or 4 or 5, it doesn't bother me. The strength and the advantage that we have in our top 4 now is that all 4 of the Australian top 4 have opened the batting for Australia. So against the new ball, they'll be very well suited. And an area of our game, the Australian team, since I've been a part of the Australian team, that we continue to work on is playing spin. And I think that's probably going to be our greatest test, not only through this series, because Sri Lanka got some really good spinners, but also looking forward to India. So that's an area you'll see the boys, continue to work on at training. But I do believe if we lose early wickets, we're very capable against the new ball, which is a real positive.
Dan?
Michael, we saw you take the top 3 guys aside at training yesterday. What have you emphasised to those guys as a unit, particularly, I guess, given that you've been through now for not many?
Just to back themselves and play their way. I think if you look at our top 3, they're all very different players. They all have great strengths, and they've all, scored 100 for Australia. So there's plenty of talent there. Now it's just about owning your position, I guess, making the most of it, grabbing hold of this opportunity with both hands, and they have a chance to build a long, successful career. Whether it be opening the batting 3, batting 4. I think all of our top 4 batters now have seen a bit of success at this level. They're certainly good enough to be here, and now it's about grabbing hold of that chance.
Andrew?
Your second go at Test cricket, not so much the first one, after you've done well, you came back in Bangladesh. I guess Phil's in a similar position here, coming back for the 3rd time. Can you run us through just how different it was coming back after being dropped as opposed to getting the bag you got the first time?
Well, at the time you dropped is the most disappointing of your career. There's no doubt about it. For me, there was no worse. It was the worst feeling I've ever had playing cricket. The realisation that all I ever wanted was to play cricket for Australia, and to have that taken away from me because of my poor performances breaks your heart. But when I look back now on my career, I think it was the best thing that happened to me, because it allowed me to go back to my state and work really hard on my game without the expectation and the consistent media, I guess, around me. And then fortunately for me, I got a second chance. So I guess, if anything, it just gives you more hunger. It makes you realise how much you want to play cricket for Australia. It makes you realise how tough the game is, that there's ups and downs, and you've got to work really hard to stay at the top consistently. And that's why I say that a sign of a great player to me is longevity, and that's why I have the utmost respect for the guys that have played well and truly over 100 Test matches, because it means you've been a consistently very good player to be able to stay there for such a long period of time. I can't speak for Hughesy. He's playing very well, there's no doubt about it. He's always had talent. You should ask Hughesy that question.
Greg?
Clarke, what expectations do you have that spin's going to be a big factor for both teams, given that it hasn't been at state level so far this season?
Well, I think there's 3 tests in this series, so even if it doesn't have as much impact as both teams would probably like on this wicket, it certainly will at the MCG and the SCG. But if the rain stays away today, I think the wicket's going to be a pretty good batting wicket for the first few days, and then I think it might stay a little bit low, and spin will certainly play a part there, that's for sure. I think the other thing, when you look at the Sri Lankan team, Harath has had a lot of success over the last 12 months, so he's a major factor in their team, and I'm confident that he'll bowl a lot of overs throughout this series. So we have to be ready and as well prepared as we possibly can to face plenty of spin, that's for sure.
Meryl?
Michael, what do you make of Sri Lanka's pace attack, and just on that, did you see Lasith Malinga last night 6 for 7? Are you glad, or would you like to see him playing in the Test?
Well, he's not playing in the Test, so I don't have to worry about that, fortunately. He bowled very well last night, that's for sure. I think they got a good pace attack. I think they got some really good options, right, left arm, swing bowling compared to some young quicks that bowl with good pace. So I think they got a pretty good attack, an underrated attack, especially coming and bowling in Australia, which conditions over the past couple of years especially have been conducive to fast bowling. So yeah, look, we certainly aren't taking any one of their players for granted. We've looked at a lot of footage yesterday. The boys have prepared really well over the last 3 days in the nets. And, we know it's going to be a tough series. Any team with the likes of Jay Wardener and Sangakkara, that sort of experience, that sort of class is going to be tough. So we know we have to beat our best.
Do you think it's sad though that Malinga isn't playing Test cricket, that he retired so soon?
I think it's the game now, isn't it? I think everybody's body's different. Everybody's in a different place. And I'd imagine, I've never bowled fast, but I'd imagine being a fast bowler, it's even harder on your body than being a spinner or being a batsman. So, look, it's great that he's still playing. I think he's wonderful for the game. His action's very different, and as you've seen with the Perth team yesterday, it takes a bit of time to get used to it, and I'm sure we'll see him playing the one-dayers and the T20s. So, yeah, look, fortunately, like I say, he's one bowler I don't have to worry about through this Test series.
Mike, was you captain of the Australian Test team? Does it bother you that there's no first class of cricket? And some young blokes aren't playing hardly any cricket now because they're not in the big bash league. It's a huge hole in the team.
It's so hard, Pete, to get or to have the cake and eat it. That's what we'd all love. But when do you put? The Australian Test team's playing Test cricket 12 months of the year. There's no real perfect time to not be playing first class cricket. Or I think what we're doing really well, and Pat Howard deserves a lot of credit for this, is making sure the next group of players are still doing a lot of work against the red ball. Knowing we've got Test cricket not only through the Australian summer, but then we go to India. So the selectors would have, we would have put a list together of players that we want to make sure are still doing plenty of batting, plenty of bowling in preparation for Test cricket, and Paddy Howard takes care of that and makes sure the individual player knows that yes, you're playing in the Big Bash, but you still need to make sure you're doing some extra work, so if you are caught up for Test cricket, you're ready to go. So, I think we've come a long way, that's for sure, in regards to making sure the next guys who will be coming into the Australian team, if there's an injury or somebody doesn't perform as well as they'd like, are as well prepared as they can be while they're playing Big Bash.
And there's blokes on the next tier down, like you and Tassie, who can't even play grade cricket this weekend because that's called off to make some tests.
Yeah.
And then they get a break for, so they're missing a lot of cricket.
Yeah, I probably experienced that when the Sixers played the Champions League this year. So leading up to the first Test, I had to go back and play club cricket to get some sort of cricket. And like I say, there's no perfect world. It's just about trying to make do. And I think we're pretty lucky around Australia. You've got really good training facilities, so worst case you can be... I know it's not the same as playing in a game, but you can be spending as much time in the nets as possible. The other side of that, sometimes it's good for your body to have a week or 2 weeks off to freshen your mind and your body up to make sure you're ready to go once they get back into state cricket.
Now,
Did you or Mickey or anyone feel the need to talk to David Warner about the shot he played in Perth, 7 balls into the second day?
No, I didn't talk to him. I don't know if Mickey did. I think the one thing we have to understand with Davey is the same ball he got out on in Perth, we were all standing and clapping Adelaide when it went over cover or went over slips for 4. That's the way he plays. The only thing I continue to say to Davey is make sure you've got that good intent. And the good intent, I mean more in his mind, more so than the actual shot. Because when Davey's intent's right, his defence is better, his attacking shots are better. He plays his best when he's looking to score runs. There's no doubt about it. And yes, we all have to work on shot selection at certain times in your innings. But I think Davey at the start, for the start of his Test career, 3 Test hundreds I think he scored now. He's doing pretty well. I'd love to see him. Like all of us, we would love to be more consistent and score runs every time we walk out to bat. But I think there's got to be a bit of give and take with Davey as well, because we know how he plays. Sometimes it's not going to look great when he gets out. But the other side, he's got that X factor. He can take a Test match away from any team in the first session of a Test match, really. There's not too many players in the world that have that talent. So at the moment, I'm really happy with how he's going. He was disappointed with the way he got out, but again, more than don't play the shot, it's keep working hard in the nets to execute that shot better.
You have to be a bit smarter because that probably would have gone through the colours before in Adelaide, but clearly Perth is very different.
Yeah. Yep, and that's what you learn as a young player, don't you? That we've all made that. Well, we're all still making that mistake, unfortunately. The shot the conditions in Perth are different to Adelaide, as we're going to see here. You know, I think one of Davey's greatest innings was the 100 he scored here against New Zealand in really tough batting conditions. But he still had that great intent on a wicket that was doing a lot. He was still looking to score runs, looking to play his shot, but his shot selection was spot on, was perfect that innings. So in a perfect world, you'd love to bottle that and say play like that every time you bat. But like I say, I think there's got to be a bit of give and take with Davey.
Last question, Dan.
Michael, how do you guard against, I suppose, the feeling that you played very well against South Africa, the #1 team in the world? You're now playing a team that outside most people expect you to do quite comfortably. How do you guard against just feeling, well, if we rock up and do something near what we did against South Africa, things will go okay here?
Well, if you rock up and do what we did against South Africa, we won't be getting better. You know, so that's how you guard against that. Every day we get out of bed, we're trying to get better. You know, that conversation is had consistently around our group that the opposition is irrelevant in regards to how we judge ourselves as players. You know, you have to be getting better individually and as a team. So, you know, our goal is not to come out and play the same way against Sri Lanka as we did against South Africa. We have to learn from what just happened in the last series. Take the positives, which I thought there was a lot of positives out of that series, and the areas where we need to get better, we need to make sure in this series we are doing that. So I'm confident if we can improve on the series against South Africa, against Sri Lanka, we'll continue to have success.